Hello, all. This is Dr. Dave Mastak talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3. And in this particular video, I really wanted to talk about what is corporate level strategy and why it is important. So this is part of my strategy Saturday series, where I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I'm just providing sort of helpful thoughts, tips, and tricks for anybody that's interested in strategy, particularly, small business, startup sort of things, and then are moving towards larger business. And, that's the people that really need this. If you really are if you're a manager of a large corporation, that kind of stuff, this is pretty useful for you as well. With refreshers and stuff like that. So, what is corporate level strategy? So the first thing we have to sort of think about, what is strategy? That is where you craft an idea, or craft a sort of mechanisms or ways that an organization operates such that you can actually create value for customers, stakeholders. And then you have to sort of think about how you're actually going to appropriate the value that you are creating. And you want to appropriate just a sort of small amount of the value that you're creating for your customers or your stakeholders. And then, so that is the basic idea of strategy. And then what you're trying to do is, if you have a business, what you're trying to do is create a business level strategy, which is if you have a focused sort of set of customers, a focused sort of market. Maybe it's a service that you have, a product that you have, and you're serving a sort of small segment there. And what you're trying to do is serve those as well as possible. But eventually, as the company grows a little bit more, you are going to start to run into management problems. And it's going to get really difficult to sort of manage that one particular company, or maybe you want to expand the company in some sort of way. Then you have to start thinking about corporate level strategy. And this is where you're trying to manage multiple businesses. And you're trying to think about how these multiple businesses that you're investing in and growing sort of hold together. And that's a big component of corporate level strategy, is thinking about how they hold together, how they sort of work maybe either independently of others or work together. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a situation such that the businesses themselves create more value together and combined versus them being independently owned, right? So what you're trying to do is sort of approximate what the value that they're going to create on their own, and then you see if they're going to hold together and make much more value or create more value if they're all combined, right? There's lots of sort of examples of that. So Honda, for example, they own multiple businesses, and they, hold together very, very well with the stuff that they're doing. In fact, corporate level strategy is probably one of the most remarkable things that we've experienced in business in the last, 50 years or so, because it allows businesses to grow a lot more than what they would normally do, right? That it would be possible to do because you're sort of allowing businesses to grow independent. And that's why it's really important, why corporate level strategy is important, because you allow businesses to kind of operate on their own, but as well sort of think about how they sort of fit together, and that you can actually create more value by having them fit together, right? And it's also becoming a much larger phenomenon as businesses get bigger and bigger. And you can start to see that the corporate level strategy is sort of a predictor of the success of businesses once they reach a certain point. So early on, as the businesses, maybe get to 100, 250 people, that they can be pretty well managed with a business level strategy or thinking about them on a single business. But then eventually, as it grows, you have to start thinking about on the corporate level, and you have to start navigating these issues that come up. So, things about thinking about the structure of the business. Maybe you would think of a multi-divisional kind of structure. I won't get into any of this kind of stuff in this video, but maybe thinking about, the culture that you want, how that's going to hold together all the different divisions. Maybe you don't want any of the divisions or the businesses sort of related in any sort of way, so that you can smooth risks that actually happen to one division or one sort of business, and use the other one to sort of compensate for that. And then you can use the revenue that's generated in one to sort of fuel the other one. That's what happens in Google, right? To sort of that they can grow the businesses that they have that are kind of weird and unusual, like the self-driving car, for example. That's why they're doing that, is they are trying to get into a new unusual sort of area that actually shows a tremendous amount of promise. Doesn't make any money for them right now, and what they're using is a search from one division to fuel the development in the other division, which is a self-driving car or other things. So it is really incredibly important for business today, because a lot of businesses would not grow beyond what they're doing at this moment for a number of different reasons. Organizational issues, for example, organizational design issues, things to do with the structure, things to do with the culture, things to do with sort of finances and smoothing finances, for example, risk minimization. There's lots of different reasons. Maybe you want to think about corporate level structure if you have a sort of set of houses that you own, right? So what you'd want to do is create one such a business that owns one set of, maybe it's 5 or 10 different houses, for example. You have rental houses, but then you want to mitigate risk, so then you open another business that is got another 4 or 5 different houses in there that is owning those particular houses. And then you create a sort of umbrella corporate structure such that those two businesses are operating under the guise, but independently of the corporation as well. So that's a really important thing. So that's all I want to talk about in this particular video. It's really important to think about, and there's so much more to talk about with corporate level strategy. Maybe in the future I'll talk about it if there's demand for it. But anyways, take care. If you like this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up, and as well, do subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do appreciate it. All right, take care. Have a wonderful day. Bye.